Hey everyone, it's Coach Robert. I have some bad news. Black gambits are still not very good. Here's the Kasparov Gambit. This one starts with d4, knight f6, knight f3, c5, and c4. Or some similar order of moves. You know, it could be like d4 and then c4 first and then knight f3. There's various move orders, but anyway, this is the position where the gambit gets kicked off. Black is going to gambit the d-pawn. First they're going to take on d4 to try to ruin white's center. Get e5 in with tempo. And after knight b5, which is the best move for white here, so that's an important one to remember, d5 is black's idea to gambit a pawn. And after d5, white should definitely take it, and this sort of follows my general rule that I've mentioned a few times on stream, that whenever someone puts two pawns in the center of the board, if you can get rid of one of them, that's usually a good idea. So go ahead and take that pawn, it's free. And here, well, it's not free in the sense that black could take back on d5, but that would be a blunder. Actually, this is a good first exercise. Like, why does black actually have to gambit the pawn after playing d5? I want to pause here and see if we can solve it. The problem is that white can play the move queen takes d5, and after you take back, this fork wins the queen. So, for that reason, black will generally play bishop c5 instead. And this is a difficult moment for white, only in the sense that they haven't developed their pieces that much. Black's compensation is they're about to castle, and they have some pretty good center control. And the knight on b5 is a little bit awkward, in the sense that maybe black could try to win it with some tactics, or at least gain some tempo by playing a6. So here, just to test yourself and see if you can figure it out on your own what the best move is, you might want to pause and just see what is the solution. Think about it a little bit. The best move is knight 5 to c3. And I think this is the key of the refutation. The idea is just to consolidate our position. We're staying up a healthy extra pawn, and we will equalize the development pretty soon because we have no weaknesses. It's easy to defend the pawn on d5 if you follow the right development scheme. If you play a move like e3, e3 is okay. The important thing though is that you immediately bring the knight back, because if you develop the other knight to c3, which is its natural, best square where you normally want it to be, then here comes a6 and b5 with tempo because it's threatening b4, and that's kind of annoying. So you might want to move your knight yet again with knight c2. And after bishop d6, black has better development than white still. They might have some tactical ways that they can try to win the d-pawn, because it's still under pressure. And if you castle quickly with white, which is what you normally want to do when someone gambits a pawn, you might want to finish your development as quickly as you can. You might run into something with e4 and bishop takes h2. So this is black's position that they're hoping for. After normal development like bishop e2, b4, rescuing that knight in the most active way possible, knight a4, things get kind of awkward. After bishop d7, you're forced to protect this knight with a pawn, and then black can give up the bishop pair to double your queenside pawns, and then finish development, leaving white a little bit worse for wear compared to the main line I'm going to suggest. I'd say this is an unclear position, and black wants to muddy the waters. That's why they're playing a gambit. They're avoiding the main lines. Want to catch you off guard. But now that you're watching this video, you won't be caught off guard. You'll play this move and avoid all that. And the next thing that should happen is after they castle, you might want to avoid playing the move e4. Here's another good moment, I think, to pause and see if you can figure out why we're choosing the moves that we did. After e4, which is an inferior option, what should black play to try to drum up some initiative? The downside of the move e4 is that while it protects the d5 pawn, it leaves this diagonal basically under black's control. And for that reason, I would play a move like maybe queen b6. But this is also kind of dicey. Another way that they can go is with knight g4. Just to, keep attacking that weak spot. This is probably a little bit better than queen b6, actually. Anyway, so e4 is not the move we're going for here. We're going to play g3, and the idea behind this is that we are going to defend d5 with the bishop without exposing it to attack, which would be the case if we played bishop c4. It might be a little bit vulnerable there. So we're playing g3. And this also stunts black's ability to attack on this diagonal later in the game. In the line that I showed for comparison, black will play bishop d6 and then attack on h2. But here this is not possible, so we play g3. Queen b6 is attacking f2, so we protect that. And after bishop g4, we just block. Black has to trade to keep the initiative up. And after e4, they have more space, and they've sort of corralled this d-pawn. But it's not such a big deal. The way we're going to deal with this is by gaining some space on the queen side. We're going to play a3. And after knight bd7, the only really good way to develop that knight, we'll play knight d2. And this is good for two reasons. Number one, you can use this useful c4 square. If you've played the modern Benoni from the white side, you'll know that you'll often get a position sort of similar to this, where black might have a pawn on d6, or maybe they've traded it to another square, and we have a far advanced strong pawn on d5. And one common way to support the advance of this pawn and attack anything that's blockading that pawn is to play knight c4. So this is sort of an intuitively nice place to put the knight. And the other thing that's good about it is it pressures the e-pawn. So even if they exert full pressure to win our d-pawn, we will at least get the e-pawn for it, because it's hard for them to take on d5 without losing the protection of d4. So knight d2 is great, and it finishes development, so why not? And now we're going to get a little extra space with b4, and after bishop b2, our development is complete. It's important that we play a3 and b4, because otherwise it can become awkward to choose a square for this knight and this bishop, because without b4, they're both competing for the d2 square. So once this is done, it's pretty nice. And just as a sample of why black can't immediately start hammering this b-pawn and saying your b-pawn's weak, is after the move a5, you can just play knight c4 and then take that pawn. So this is it. We're down to this castle kingside, and sing kumbaya after this. White's doing great. Anyway, maybe you didn't know you needed to know some prep against the Kasparov Gambit, but now you do. It's a refuted opening, so if anyone plays it against you, expect to get a plus-minus position with relative ease. Alright, until next time, hope you enjoyed my other videos. Take care.